Hi everyone, I'm back with another episode. It's been a hot second since I've recorded one of these. Not for you guys, obviously, you're gonna watch them and think that I've been recording these as they go. It's been a few weeks since I've recorded and sat down and properly done an episode. And so I'm a little bit rusty. This is honestly my third time recording this intro, just the intro. I haven't even gotten to the meat of the podcast, and I'm sure I'm gonna have to do that like 60 times. But before I get into this, I didn't know what I was going to talk about because there are some weeks when I have nothing to offer to the world. There isn't much going on in my head. And so I don't really want to talk about anything. I don't really want to talk at all. But I'm going to anyways because I'm about to fly out of the country and I still want to make sure that there's episodes coming out and it's not like I just disappeared. Before I get into the episode, Hilo Buffalo. This one is very Hawaii themed. I just came back from Hawaii. That's why I'm a little bit tanned. I hope you guys can tell I'm a little bit tan. I don't even think I'm a shade darker. I think I'm like 0.5 shades darker, but I still tanned a little, which is pretty good. So anyways, hi. I had this insane acai bowl. Also for context, I went to Kauai. It's from Louie Market. It's just like this random supermarket on the side of the road. And they just have this insane acai bowl. And I think it's better than any acai bowl I've ever had because they incorporate this peanut butter sherbet or sorbet. Like they swirl it. And it is so good. It's something that I don't know how to make at home. And so that's kind of where I set my standards. I can usually get an acai bowl that I can recreate. But in this case, I was like, damn, I don't even know how to recreate this bowl and I don't know when I'm going to get to try a bowl like this again. And they incorporate ingredients fresh from the island, which is super awesome. They also make their almond butter in-house, which was delicious. So that was my high. I haven't had an acai bowl that I haven't been able to recreate. So that was super yummy. My low was not, I didn't really talk about this anywhere. So many of you guys might be surprised, but I actually was supposed to get to Hawaii on Monday, but my flight got canceled and delayed like 6 times. And so I actually ended up in Hawaii on Wednesday. And I missed 2 full days of the trip, which sucked. But the moment I touched the ground in Hawaii, I was so happy. I just love Hawaii so much, and especially Kauai. It's my favorite island. The moment I touched the ground, we booked an Uber, and that Uber took me straight to the beach. I did not waste any time. I legit lugged my luggage across the beach. People were looking at me like I was crazy, but I didn't care. I was like rolling that thing across the sand and I was just so ready to get into the water. And it was just like that. I was in the water. I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I wasn't really processing it because I just went from like this concrete jungle of New York City and then was in Hawaii swimming in the water. So it was just a lot, but I'm happy that I made it safely and that it was fine. It was just really annoying. If any of you have had to deal with flight delays, flight cancellations, and rebooking and things like that, you guys just know it's such a bitch to deal with. Also, another low, I'm just going to do a double low just because it was just such an awkward, just not a normal flight and I think it was because the flight was at like 6 in the morning and so I was up at 3 a.m. But I left everything at home in terms of entertainment. I left my iPad, I left my journal at home, I left my Kindle at home. So I had nothing to read on the plane, on the beach. I had nothing I could work on. I had no laptops with me. So I had no work to do during the trip. I was forced to vacation fully. And also, you guys know, I've talked about this so many times. I live and breathe with my journal by my side. I don't leave anywhere without it. And I write so many things in it. Didn't even bring this. I was literally shocked. I was sitting on the plane and when I realized I didn't even bring my journal and I was like, am I even human right now? And with my buffalo, fun fact, I'm not like a big zodiac person or astrology person, but I know I am a Scorpio and I am a water sign. And so people like to say you are your truest self, or you just tend to lean towards your element. So people who are water signs would like the water, for example. And so that's what's destined for me, apparently, according to the stars. But I am terrified of water. I don't do well in water. I would say I'm not a strong swimmer at all. I panic. No matter how much I try to do to get myself to calm down, I just don't. And so when I'm in the water, I'm like breathing really fast and I'm very, very hyper aware of everything going on. I'm very nervous about anything that could go wrong. I still went into the water every single day of my trip in Hawaii, and I swam and I tried to pretend that I was doing great, but I really hate water. The buffalo, it's just like the weird thing that like I just don't do well in water, but I would love to be. I would love to be a strong swimmer. A lot of my friends are strong swimmers, so I was like jealous during the trip because I was like, oh, I just want to be able to like, I don't know, just sit in the water and not freak out. But the weird thing is like I would leave the water and then I'd instantly want to get back. Like I would step out onto the shore and I was like, no. Like I want to go into the water. A lot of my friends know that I am in my best mood after a shower. Like a shower can cure me of everything. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm tired, whatever it is, if I just go into the water under a shower, I would just feel amazing. I think it's my like family traumatizing me because they told me that water is my bad luck. And so now I'm just like, I'm confused. Anyways, let's get into the topic of the episode. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to film this episode, and I know it's going to be very short because I didn't plan anything for this topic. I just wanted to kind of just talk about what's going on in terms of emotional stability and like how you guys saw me in the beginning of the year in a really rough place. If you guys caught up with my vlogs, if you guys have been following me through my podcast, you guys will know I was going through it for the first 4 or 5 months of this year, and I ended up having to get a therapist because of that. If you guys want to know whether or not I'm really going through it, if I get a therapist, it means I'm going through it, because I basically am actually reaching out for help because I know I need it, or else things are going to go bad. And I have this bad habit of getting a therapist at times when right before things are about to get seriously problematic. And so I got a therapist in the beginning of the year, and thank God I did. But essentially what this episode is about is how I went from such a low place and then am now in a much better place. And I just got out of it a few months ago. It's been 3, 4, 5 months now of consistently feeling pretty good. Sometimes though, in the back of my head, I feel like it's too recent, and I'm still a little bit nervous about the fact that I can always reverse back to that state of mind, which is always scary. And that's always the situation. If you guys have never gone through a really traumatic mental dip in your life, a very low in your life, then you guys might not know this, but if you have, you know that it doesn't ever leave. You just always know it's a place that you could always go to because you've seen it, you've experienced it, and so now you know it's a reality. Like it's a place you can actually find yourself in if it gets really bad. And because you know that's a possibility, it always feels like you're kind of one step away or a few steps away from that state of mind. But you choose every day to not go through that door, and you choose the other door instead. And as you go over time, it gets easier and easier to, when you're at the fork in the road, to like look at that door and just quickly choose the other option, because you develop a habit of choosing what's better for you in general. So here I am. I feel a lot better. So when I talk about like really sad moments, and when people bring it up and they're like, "Oh, you're just so sad," or like, "You're just such a bad place," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't relate to her as much anymore, because my headspace is in such a different place," which is really good. And it's so funny how when you go through really painful moments, your body does a really good job of making you forget that painful moment. It's the same as when women have their babies. The process of having a baby is obviously insanely painful, but a lot of moms talk about how as soon as the baby comes out, they kind of start forgetting what that pain was like over time. And I think that's the case with like any physical pain for me and emotional pain, where I can remember it was terrible and I know it was bad. Especially the more recent it happened, I can feel it a little bit more. But as time goes on and on, I cannot relate to that girl as much. And so that's the same as when I went through a really painful breakup, and it was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. And I couldn't tell you exactly how it felt. I could describe it, but I couldn't feel it exactly the same way. And it's the same with this pain, where in the beginning of this year, I'm realizing now the reason why I was going through it was because I gave up hope and I just stopped doing the things that I loved. So there are moments in my life, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, where you're so focused on the goal, but what you don't realize is the reason why you're pursuing those goals is because you actually love the journey, and you don't think about it as much, but you do love that pain, or else you wouldn't be doing it. And if you didn't like it, then you wouldn't be pursuing your dreams right now. So I didn't realize that, but during that time of the year when I was really in a bad place, every day, just to give some context, every day it was hard to wake up and want to do the day, want to just do anything. I noticed it was bad, and this is going to get dark, so trigger warning. I noticed it was bad when I was walking through the streets, and I wasn't suicidal. It wasn't like I was trying to kill myself or like was going to take the action to do anything to myself. But it was like, if something had happened to me, I wouldn't be upset. Basically, that's where I was. That's why I was a step away from a really, really lower low. I've never gotten to that point where I'm like actively wanting to harm myself. I haven't gotten there because I get a therapist right before that happens. And in this case, again, I was just like, if I were to disappear, if something were to happen to me, I wouldn't be sad. I actually would probably have a smile on my face, to be honest. And so that's kind of where I was. The idea of living was harder than the idea of not being alive. I was just like, what's the point? I was very nihilistic. A huge part of that is because I wasn't doing the things that I loved. So I was like, if I'm not going to do the things that I want to do or that I love, I don't know why I'm here. And that's when I realized that what I actually enjoy is doing the process of pursuing my dreams and doing the things that I actually care about. I do care about still the end goal, but I also really, really care about the process. And that is what keeps me alive. Ever since I started really going in on YouTube again and like putting my work to the side and not prioritizing it as much as I did in the first few months, and really giving as much energy as I possibly can to all the things that I care about. And now I have tattooing to care about and all these like babies that I really want to keep, nurturing and really want to keep giving my energy and love to. My whole world has flipped. And yeah, it's just been a much better place. And I don't know how it happened. I just started doing things instead of thinking about it so much. And the more I just did and did and did, the more I just realized I got out of it. Sometimes, and I talked about this in a few videos during that time, I was saying that if I had too much time to think, it was a problem. And so that's where I got really stuck, because it's one thing to know, but you can know everything. You can be the smartest human on this earth, but if you're not doing the thing, it really means nothing at the end of the day to be the smartest person, to be the most knowledgeable. I could know that eating a tub of ice cream every day is really bad for you, but I could still know that while eating the tub of ice cream. And I could still think about that. I can still think about how bad it is to eat this tub of ice cream while I'm eating the tub of ice cream. So again, it's one thing to know, but it's another thing to do. And so I kind of just shut my mind off, and I did not give myself time to think and to dig myself in a hole or to second guess any of my decisions or my actions. And instead, I just kept doing the thing that I need to do. And sometimes just getting yourself into the action is like enough. And you just do it more and more until it's just such a habit that you don't even think about it. And so this was the case more recently with going to the gym. And so since I've moved to the new apartment, I've had a new schedule with the gym, and also just tattooing makes it very difficult for me to keep it very consistent. And Mikey isn't with me to go to the gym and keep me accountable. And so I have to get myself outside to go to the gym. And not gonna lie, the first 2 weeks of moving into this apartment, and it still is, it takes so much out of me to get outside the apartment to go to the gym. Swear to God, it takes me 15 minutes to get ready, but it actually takes me 45 minutes to get out of the apartment, because 30 minutes of it, and I still do this, 30 minutes of it, I'm like debating. I sit there and I'm like, should I go? Wait, I'm gonna do laundry first. After I do laundry, then I'll go. Wait, actually, should I eat first and then I'll go? I'm kind of hungry. I have this like whole thing, and then I finally go. But I realize the moment I step outside of my door and I lock it, I'm not going to go back in, because I'm too lazy to go back in. The energy it takes to go back in is just stupid. And so I'd rather just go to the gym because I'm outside of my apartment. So then I just do the thing. So as long as I get outside and I just start the action of getting to the gym, it's really easy for me to get the ball rolling. I think that's kind of what happened. And now I'm here, and I've just been thinking about how some people in my life who've watched my videos and are asking about what's going on, and they still think I'm in that headspace, which is so valid because I haven't really talked about it. But I know myself that I'm not in that headspace anymore, thank God. I still obviously will have moments where I do get in my head, but I do have to shout somebody out. And he's actually a YouTuber, Dill. He recorded a podcast episode with me, and I'm so sorry, guys. If you guys watched the episode, I loved that episode. That episode had so much potential, but then the audio was so shit. And I didn't realize, and I totally forgot that when you FaceTime people that there can be lag. And so I couldn't match up the audio, and it was just terrible. I'm so sorry for how bad that sounded, but the content in that episode was really, really good. Anyways, I digress. I recorded a video with Dill, and he's been one of like the most helpful people in those moments where I have a really rough headspace. He's so like strong-minded, it's actually insane. He almost seems not human because he's so delulu in like the best way possible, like very positive, very like forward driven. When I had bad moments, I just knew he was the person that I needed to talk to, and because he got it, because he was in the same kind of career mindset as I was. And so I would message him, and I remember one time I was just going through it recently, and this was like a smaller dip, because recovery is never linear. It's always like smaller and smaller dips until you kind of recover in an incline on average. But the little day to day is like sometimes like a little bit like this, and not like huge dips. And yeah, so I messaged him. I was like, I am not in a good headspace. Like, I need help. And he was like, call me. And I called him. He's just like a rock. He's so stubborn in his like delusionalness that it made me delusional. It just like I couldn't help but like get kind of influenced by that. And so if you guys can find a person or like find a video, in replacement of a dill in your life, you should definitely use one of those affirmation videos. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but those affirmation videos are just filled with a lot of good wording and verbal energy. And so I would personally, and I've done this in the past, listen to it constantly. So when you're going through a really rough moment in your head and you're trying to replace that negative talk, you should definitely check those videos out. I put them in the description below, the ones that I like to listen to. And just let yourself be delusional. How bad can it hurt to be positively delusional? It can hurt in a way, but I would rather be positively delusional than negatively delusional. But yeah, anyways, that is my ramble. And I hope that if you're in a weird place or if you can relate to this, that you guys like this episode. I just wanted to give a quick update on where I am. And I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Rate the podcast. Share the podcast because, again, it legit means the world. So, yeah. Bye.